I'm Ayla. I'm from Burnham. I'm 31 years old and I'm originally Dutch, but I've lived in the UK for the last 6 years or even longer. And I do black pen drawings, lino printing, and I dabble a little bit into Adobe Illustrator to make digital illustrations as well. But my favourite are these two, the very detailed black pen drawings or lino printing. So that's what my favourite mediums are. So how I got into art. I'm part of Identical Twin, and our parents always encouraged us to be creative. So they send us to after school art classes on a Wednesday afternoon, because in the Netherlands schools finish early on a Wednesday so that you can do something fun in the afternoon. And then in our teenage years we also went to a art class on Saturday, where we tried to develop a portfolio to get into art university. So I think we've always been encouraged to be creative in our household. I think my dad and mum both have their own secret creative talents. I remember my dad once made some drawings to go with a poem that he wrote in a book for me of some very detailed butterflies, which were amazing. My mum makes amazing quilts that she's really highly skilled of. So I think everyone in our family have got their own way of creating art anyway. My dad now makes amazing woodworks. So I think we've always been encouraged to show your creativity. So after I tried to get into university to study art, but I was 17 after finishing secondary school, and the university said, oh, you're a bit too young, although my identical twin did get accepted, but I was too young. So they said, come back in a year and try again, but maybe on a Saturday you could do a special course at the uni to learn the basics of art. So that's what I did. Whilst during the week I went to college to study graphic design. And I did that for 2 years because the university didn't have a space for me after that year. But then after 2 years of graphic design I was quite unhappy, so I decided to have a career change, and I went to university to study forestry and nature management, which I really enjoyed because I'm all about the birds and the bees, especially birds, as you can see. I did that, and then I moved to the UK to do a master's degree in wildlife management and conservation, and then I participated in 100 Days of Doodling quite a few years back, which sparked my love for black pen art again. Really enjoyed that, although I didn't finish the 100 days because that's quite a task. I didn't finish it, but I did really enjoy doing it. And that sparked that again. I also did some snail mailing, which is sending pretty letters to pen pals, where you make some artsy craftsy things to go with the letter just to make it all look nice. And that got the creative fire burning again. So I really enjoyed that, and then that developed into taking my art more seriously again and creating things like this. And then a couple of years back again I discovered the lino printing at a workshop I did in Reading, and I really enjoyed that, so I'm glad I went to the workshop, and that's what I enjoy most now, is doing this and sharing this with the world. So the best thing about what I do is that I've not limited myself to one medium. So because I really enjoy the black pen drawings, I really like the lino printing, I also really like the digital illustrations. I've got so many things to choose from whenever I feel like I want to do something, that if I don't feel like lino printing or carving, I can choose to put my mind to it and do a black pen drawing, or if I don't have the patience to do either of those, I can get my laptop out and do some digital art. So I think I really enjoy being able to choose between different mediums and not necessarily having one style in my work. Because for the black pen drawings you do really need a lot of patience, because I use such fine pens that it's a lot of work making all those tiny little marks or dots, because I also use dots in some of my work. so you need a lot of time and effort to finish a piece like that. And with the lino printing, it's completely different because you have to think in reverse, because obviously what you carve and then print is mirrored. So that's and then you have to think about the black and the white, because what you carve away is going to be white and what you leave is going to be colored. So obviously when you put a pen to paper, that's the color, while with lino printing what you carve away, that's going to be the white. So you have to think both in negative as well as mirrored. So I think that's a challenge for some people, but I really enjoy that. And with the digital art, there's really no mistakes you can make, because you can so easily erase that. So if I feel like I haven't got the patience, then I might dabble into Adobe Illustrator to do some vector art instead of doing all the little tiny black pen stripes. So that I think that's what I enjoy most about my work. The hardest thing about what you do, that's a good question. I think it's something that most artists struggle with, and that's being your own worst critic. So looking at your own work and not knowing whether it's finished, whether it's good enough, I think that's what a lot of people still struggle with, even though they might not admit it. I think there's always this doubt whether somebody will like it, and I think that's something we all need to just be a bit kinder to ourselves. I'm also part of the Winter Artists Collective, so once a month we all meet up and we bring in work that we're currently working on, or we've just finished, or we'd like to receive some feedback on, and that means that people are there to look at your work with fresh eyes, and then give you some constructive feedback what to work on next. And I think that's really good, because there's so many different people in the collective, that there is resin artists, watercolor specialists, oil paint, acrylic paint, some technical illustrators, people who work really small, some people work really big, some digital illustrators, and then me with my black pen and my lino printing. There's always something new to learn, new to be inspired by, and the feedback is really good at those meetings. So I think that for me, that's a way to try and battle being my own worst critic, is going to this collective and receiving the feedback and discussing your work with others. And I think that's the best thing to do to battle this as an artist, is putting your work out in the community and get some feedback, but also just sometimes take a step back from your work. So I get really obsessed with the detail in my black pen drawings, and I never know when enough is enough, and sometimes I just need to put the work away for 2 weeks and then come back and look at it thinking, yeah, that is actually finished, or no, I still would like to do this. So I think that's another way of battling that, is put your work away, come back to it. Yeah. Now the hardest question to answer, which are my favourite artists. If you would have asked me in my teenage years, I would have known the answer straight away, which was Salvador Dali. I absolutely loved his work. But I think these days, when you start creating art, you might start looking at art differently. So appreciating the skill and the medium, how much effort something is to make, how much time something must have taken to create something. So I think being an artist yourself might make you look at art differently than if you not necessarily make art yourself. So for that reason, I've not chosen one favourite artist, but I've chosen 3. Let's start with the black pen drawing. At this moment in time, one of my favourites, if not my favourite, is Simonette David Jackson. I started following her on Instagram a little while ago, because she also makes black pen drawings, just like me. Also used to be just black and white, and I really loved her work. And for Winter Contemporary Art Fairs back in November, I've for the first time dabbled into putting some color into my black pen drawings as well. So I created this, for example, this great spotted woodpecker where I added some red into the black pen drawings, and people loved it, and I'm glad I did. But that was the first time I actually put some colour in my work. And Simonette has just made this series of amazing fierce women. I put lots of colour in them too, and the series is amazing. So she inspires me to try new things in my art and within my drawings, and hopefully trying to put some more splashes of colour in my black pen drawings. So yeah, Simonette is definitely one to have a look at. Big shout out to her. When it comes to lino printing, I find that really hard because there's so many talented lino printers out there that it's really hard to choose just one. So I've chosen somebody from who I've got a couple of prints stuck on my wall above my desk in the spare room where I create my art, and it's Tom Laurie, and I think he's from Cornwall, and his lino prints are really simple but so effective, and he's got such skill in making the marks in his lino to create his prints that I really love his work. And although he only uses black ink on white paper, it's really striking, and I'm a really big fan of his work. So big shout out to Tom as well. And last but not least is somebody that is an acrylic artist, and I saw her a couple of years ago at the Surrey Contemporary Art Fair, and I was walking around, and her stand of work blew me away. It's Nadia Day, and she makes landscape paintings, but uses really big brush strokes, or she uses the palette knife to make these really big marks to put colour in on the canvas, and then also put some detail in a way that I can't understand how she does it. She's got such amazing skill, but you feel like you're there observing the landscape, even though it's made with such big brush strokes that it almost feels abstract. So her work is amazing, and I really hope that one day I've got a house big enough to have one of her big paintings on my wall. Yeah, her work is amazing, so check Nadia out as well. So I think those are the three I wanted to mention, and I just wanted to say that everyone out there who is also creating art, or feels like maybe they're not good enough, keep going, keep doing what you do, enjoy it, and go join, if you not feel confident enough, go join a art collective or an art group, just to get some feedback on your work, but also most importantly to get inspired by other people, and join the Instagram community, because Instagram is amazing for feedback and developing relationships with other artists. And yeah, that's me, and I hope you like my work, and hope to see you again soon. Bye!